Greetings. This is Body Culinary giving you all a quick shout this early day. I'm about to head out to do my movement practice, but I'm really early. I'm doing some chores. Now I have to get some sweat in for me. So this is so cliche. We've heard this countless times. If you don't move it, you're going to lose it. So I've been in the fitness industry for several decades. Working with fitness, yoga, African dance, then everything from vegetarian to vegan to raw foodist to the zone, all these different diet things, now to just a living foodist this last net for about 11 years. Just to say, it's been such a long journey and a progressive learning. And one of the things that I've observed in working at a holistic health center for several years, as well as working with different populations, right? Different economic brackets, folks from different cultures, as well as a whole spectrum of age groups. I've seen a lot of things that have continually made me more and more clear. And I've seen a lot of suffering. I've seen a lot of pain. I've seen a lot of pain and suffering within my own family, where there is a legacy in terms of lifestyle habits, a legacy of obesity and the complications that come with obesity. High blood pressure, diabetes, huge with my grandmother when my grandmother's died of diabetes and heart disease, with her feet almost pretty much bursting open. And swollen from diabetes. We used to have to go to the refrigerator to get her insulin as children. It used to be only on the Afro-American and Southern side of my family, and then eventually I saw it on the Caribbean side of my family. So cancer, I can tell you, it's related to obesity and our food habits. And it's not just, I'm definitely not here to fat shame, right? Because we have to love ourselves. We don't have to do anything. We're grown folks. Can't tell grown folks what to do. But it's our responsibility to love the body, temple, and the precious one and only vehicle that we have to another place, to however we want it to be and to manifest. And to be very clear, we do a lot of damage to the body. A lot of it is in ignorance, right? A lot of the lifestyle habits are shared with us. Children don't buy groceries, right? And we share a lot of our habits, especially as women and mothers. We share it with the family. We share it with the children. I totally get it. Quite often we're medicating ourselves as a coping mechanism, right? To take the edge off. A lot of the substances that we are putting into our precious, delicate, although resilient body temple are damaging the body. We're breaking it up, just taking it through the ringer. Like we're assuming that it can just take all of the abuse and the neglect. And quite often, again, it's done in ignorance. So I'm here to tell you, we are going to suffer if we don't use the body. And so even for the folks, the trend is always going to be another trend, whether it's vegan, paleo, keto. And working with clients over the years, I have never, even though I'm a living foodist, some people for years didn't realize that I was not eating any animals, right? If I don't say vegan and I focus on the behavior, that I wasn't eating any animals at all, because I focused on fresh, whole living foods without the labels. And I did that quite often purposefully, to the point where people offer me gifts. And I was like, why do they offer me gifts? Don't they realize that I don't eat any animal flesh? And I realized, because I made a point not to focus on the labels, but to focus on everyone can benefit from eating more whole, fresh living, right? Your body's living with its natural water intact. Fruits, whole, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and legumes, right? In ways that are easy to digest. Everyone can benefit. So rather than use food as one more thing to divide us, I can recognize it, just keeping things really simple. Everyone can benefit. So as a result, I found the majority of my clients got juicers, Vitamixes, and started doing those things as habits. Most of them were not vegetarian and vegan, but they implemented lots of healthy lifestyle habits. And the women that I've worked with, pass those things on down to their children. So I still today see pictures of children and, their parents or mother and or father will work with me for years. And I see them doing community gardening, and that to me makes me feel good, in terms of, I feel like that's very, very effective, right? That people are picking up lifestyle habits. That is a mentality. That's not a diet. Now, the suffering, working with different age groups, I don't think that folks in their 20s or women or, even when we're not in our 20s, we're assuming that your liver is always going to be there to serve you. We never think about the kidneys, right? Because we can't see them. We just want to look at, like, the muscle and the skin, the vanity stuff from the neck up, from the wrist down, from the ankle down. All right. And then we put Spanx on to squeeze, everything in. And quite often we have so much stuff on, we get into this false illusion. We can't see what we look like. So the body temple, this vehicle we're walking around in, it's telling a story. We don't think about, when we're younger, we don't think about menopause, right? Because many women don't talk about it and the complications of it and the fact that we will go through different phases of life. Now, I've had clients that were young, corporate, successful. And when we would start working together, even though they didn't have children, I knew at some point they wanted to get married. I would say, look at here. You don't want to wait until it's time for you to have children to develop the habit of taking care of yourself, of setting up a small area in your home that is a home gym, so you don't give yourself an excuse not to move. So the movement and the food are not exclusive of each other. It's not, it's like people that love to run, they like to pick their favorite thing and run, but don't do strength training and don't do flexibility. Right? It's not a balance. Or folks, the chefy folks and the foodies just want to play with the food, or some folks just want to diet and not deal with creating or cultivating a consistent movement practice. They are not exclusive. This body's not designed to sit down all day. Our structures are changing from being on the computer all day. This is why we're seeing so much lower back pain. There's now towards children, it's getting younger and younger. That are in physical therapy for injuries that are from non-impact, right? Children are getting hurt more because they do the weekend warrior thing and there's not enough activity in our day. Even the fact we have to use fitness trackers, which, by the way, there's this distinction between a fitness tracker and a pedometer and a heart rate monitor, right? But the species, and this is not a shaming thing, has gotten so inactive, I would almost say like lazy, but, not to have a negative connotation, but we're so not moving that our standard has dropped for activity. Hey, greetings, Fallen Skies. Greetings, Fallen Skies. So, everything's good. I'm about to get my movement practice on. So I just wanted to come on. Usually when I'm just, feeling the vibe, I'll just come on and I'll share. And I just want to say, you'll suffer. You'll suffer. What are some of the ways that we can suffer? I'm not here to fearmonger, but I'm here to tell you from working with folks. And I have some clients that will pay anything to not be in pain. And what I do want to add that a lot of the population now, 60 to 85% of the population gets an injury within the first 6 to 8 weeks of being in the gym. Why? Because our bodies have become so deconditioned. It's almost like we have to pretty much be conditioned in order to exercise. So we don't understand stabilizer muscles, right? Things that keep everything stable inside the sockets, keep your lumbar spine stable, keep your cervical spine and skull stable, right? Keep everything stable inside the socket. So we wind up getting shoulder injuries, rotator cuff injuries, lower back, lumbar spine injuries, loading the spine up with too much weight that it's not ready for. Some men folks take their girlfriend and their wives in the gym, not understanding biomechanics, and have them doing the same types of movement practices or workouts that they're doing right off the street without any preparation, without proper form. And so then when folks get injured, they get turned off to movement. There's no way around movement. There's no way around it. What's going to happen though, or what could happen, what is likely to happen, your body will get so stiff from not eating and consuming hydration. I'm not just talking about the water in the bottle. The synovial fluid in the joints, you don't have enough fluid, like the Tin Man, you're like, oh, rusted. you wind up getting injured, and then you blame the exercise when the truth is, or some people will even blame their trainer. When you came off of the street, years of neglect, years of putting off taking care of your body. I like to communicate in pictures. It's health insurance. Your fruits and your vegetables and your movements is health insurance. I lead a pretty active lifestyle, and even for me, a level of deconditioning. I would say in most recent years, I have never been in front of the computer this much. But change in lifestyle, change in lifestyle. So I could immediately feel a difference in my body and decondition for me to be struggling riding up a hill on my bicycle when the amount of load. So I can't have an ego about what you used to do in yesteryear, because your body responds to cycles and rhythms and consistency. It takes a long time to build muscle. If you've ever seen on Channel 13, like, when they show a plant or a flower opening up, it's slow motion. It's slow motion, but they speed it up so you can watch the petals on the flower opening up. That's a very slow, gradual process. In the garden, it could take months, sometimes 4 months to 6 months to see broccoli or the kale fully open up and bloom. And then when it takes off, then I've got all these collard greens and all these vegetables. But you know how much watering that is? Sometimes twice a day, depending on the climate and how much weeding it takes. So these commercials and all this marketing have us thinking, we're going to get all these heart rate monitors and these cute outfits and our body's going to change. Or some people think just because you pay for an expensive training package and hanging out with your coach or your trainer, that you can live vicariously through them and your body's going to change when you show up to the session. Are very resistant. I don't feel like doing this. I don't want to do that. It's work. You have to sweat. Initially, it becomes so uncomfortable. You can be so deconditioned that it almost feels painful. Your body can, and by the way, I did put two fantastic gateway into fitness, and done right, you can do a lot to warm up your back and loosen up your back and tone your legs and your glutes with walking done properly. There's also a video on being deconditioned. But you can be so deconditioned from lack of activity that it almost feels painful. It almost feels painful for you to start to move again. So it becomes a turnoff to many people. But your body's only going to, your muscles are not only going to get more atrophied and deflated, they'll become stuck and stiff, unable to move, and you lose the conditioning. The body can't take the workload. And so then when our ego, I like to say the ego will take out the host. Yeah, I'm going to do Tough Mudder, the Spartan race, and you haven't been doing any kind of activity, right? Then you'll break the body because it's disrespectful. It's not considerate of the body to go from 0 to 100, and then people hit the ground running, New Year's, whatever, gyms will take all your money, and then you fizzle out. Maybe within weeks, or even, like, if you're good, maybe a couple of months. So I'm here to just share with you. There are different phases of life. Before you have children, when you have children, your body doesn't care about your schedule and your bright ideas. It needs consistency. It needs to be moved. You're more likely to get an injury because you're inconsistent. And if you haven't taken the time, just invest some kind of something and just be getting educated so you can be safe, understanding and discerning the difference, the distinction between your core and your abs. Most people are trying to work their abs and don't have a comprehensive, safe understanding of the core. So there's so much information. This is the age of knowledge and information. That doesn't necessarily mean wisdom. The ego will take out the host. So we could all do something. Walking is fantastic. Walking is fantastic. You would be amazed at what you could do with walking. Whether you have a treadmill that's accessible to you, use whatever you have. If you have a nice park, which I love because then it's not boring, right? You can, the scenery is changing. But get moving safely. It's a gateway. Take your time. Get an accountability partner. Invest in a coach. Invest in a coach. I've invested in coaches for years, business coaches, fitness coaches. Yes, a trainer that has invested in coaches. Why? Because they'll take you safely to, if you invest in a good one, beyond your threshold where you just want to give up in that discomfort. And so you want to make sure you know you want to feel comfortable that you can feel safe, that you're not going to injure yourself, right? Rather than some of the things I see in the gym that are scary. So I can just get away, disconnect, get a sweat on, and then go back to work. But I have the option. I have a full gym at home. I remember as a young mom, I know I needed to give myself every excuse to move because the obesity waiting for me. And I like to eat. I'm also a professional chef. But I knew before going to culinary school, I don't want to look like an unhealthy chef, right? And when the age where people overlook things, if you have a gift of gab, or if you have looks, or you have money, or a singing ability, or talent, people will overlook all of that stuff. So a lot of times we're not discerning, we're not critically thinking. So I invite all of you to find something that you love there when it comes to fruits and vegetables. Find your favorites. You can start there. Find what you love. My gateway into movement was African dance. I was not thinking of fitness. I just knew I just loved dancing. I wasn't a drinker or a smoker, but I loved to dance. And I couldn't keep dancing, or going to a club when I was finally able to have my own job and pay for it and pay for safe entry and safe transportation to and from. I couldn't keep doing that and, work on Wall Street, right? So I found dance classes and was hooked from day one. So I don't know what it's going to be for you. It's up to you to write your own narrative. It's not about following me. I'm sharing my experience. Take notes. We can compare notes. See what works for you, what resonates with you. Take the best that resonates with you and leave the rest. But if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. All that hard-earned cash, all that working hard for to put savings and stuff away, all of it's going to the medical doctor, physical therapist. And there are some things, even with taking the best care of our body, there's some things outside of our control that can and may happen. However, it's a cop out, or we can use that as a cop out not to be 110% proactive and responsible for our health. We're not thinking about dementia. We're not thinking about our food affecting the brain. We're thinking about the muscle, but you're not thinking of the brain. The brain is a control center. If you're not eating for the electricity in your brain, hydration, top quality, optimal fuel that is peaceful eating first to your own brain and your organs and your body temple. Do you ever think of eating so that your intestines are not clogged, so that your liver, what kind of foods does the liver like? These different organs, they're the filtering system for the body. Do we even know about our lymphatic system? Some of it's not our fault. However, it's our responsibility, right? It's our responsibility. You are going to pay. Certain phases and things you're going through will most likely be more difficult if you don't understand what things to implement into your food before menopause, hits. So these are realities of life. And there are male versions, even though some men may think, oh, they're off the hook. There are different things that men go through different phases of life too, male and female. It's a lot of us are not educated about our body. There's a high percentage of men of color, men in general, men of color with prostate cancer. But no one's thinking this as they're overusing or over-sexing, let me put it like that, and not paying attention to the health. Eating for the health of your reproductive organs. That's a real thing. We have so much ego around our reproductive organs. Everybody's grabbing their crotch as they're performing, but nobody's thinking about the health of their crotch or their sacred parts. That doesn't make sense, does it? So we're just so not thinking critically. It's like the popular culture is so hypnotic that we're not thinking. I invite you to cultivate a movement practice. If you have questions or you need some guidance, you can feel free to connect with me on body-culinary.com. If you want to cultivate a movement practice at home, if you have a small space, if you have limited time, invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. We don't want to invest in all of these clothes and then be cheap when it comes to our food. I put one post up on Instagram. I'd rather take blueberries than a pill. If the blueberries are $5 or $6, $7, I'll take the blueberries rather than the pills, which are going to have side effects on my body, right? The fruits and vegetables don't need so much advertisement, right? Because they have a shelf life. But the things and the products and the shiny packages, they need advertising. They're on the shelf for profit. They're devoid of living water and electricity. So, I don't want to go on and on and on. I just want to, good morning, Mabel. I just want to encourage you folks to cultivate whatever your age. There are seniors. I've seen one woman, 80 something years old, lost over 100 something pounds, walking in her apartment, walking back and forth in her apartment. And it's beyond the labels. And she did make massive changes to her food. As someone that's worked, in the fitness industry, I can tell you a lot of what you see, just because you see somebody's ripped, that doesn't mean they're pain-free. That doesn't mean they can maintain that look all year round. The organs and the brain are important, right? We want to have this brain functional. Who wants to be fit and say, oh, I was fit for 6 months back in the day, or for 1 year, out of your entire life? If you're going to a financial planner, the financial planner would ask you, what do you want? What do you need your money to do for you in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? So I pose the question, and marinate on this. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear in the comments. What do you need your body temple, this vehicle, the one and only? I know some folks joke that I can just get a prosthetic or a fake leg or a fake heart. What do you need your body temple to be able to do for you in the next 5 years? What do you see your body temple? 10 years, 20 years. What do you need it to do for you, right? And the form, I would say this to folks, especially women out there, the form will follow the function. We're so spastic that a lot of us are cutting up our bodies to make it fit or to look a certain kind of way. But if you're moving and you're working, your form, what you look like, is going to follow the function if you're working, right? I know several people personally that have had different types of bypass surgery, in their gut area and stomach stapling. They all gained the weight back. And now they've also compromised their system where they don't absorb nutrients the same way. So we're trying to do the get out of jail free card. And I'm wary of anyone that's telling me it's that easy. And also I have a tremendous amount of compassion, because more than likely, I only have half of my thyroid. I gain weight very easily. I love to eat. I've got soul food from the South and soul food from the Caribbean in my palate. So it has really been something to change my palate over the years. It was a conscious decision. And I also consciously chose to find ways to be extremely creative, right? So that I enjoy it. That's what has made it been sustainable and something I can live with, but I don't worry about food so much. I don't have to put the labels on. I eat cruelty free. Technically, you can say it's vegan. Technically, you can say it's whole living foods. But without the labels, I prefer to focus more on how the food makes me feel. I'm eating for longevity. I'm eating for vitality. I'm eating to keep my brain clear and to be able to make good decisions, right? I want to fuel my brain with optimal gas, with optimal fuel, so I can make good decisions, so that I can at least make an effort to avoid dementia, right? To mitigate the any of the effects of menopause, because these are different phases we're going to go through. Some people, Alzheimer's, dementia, when people are smoking their brains out. No offense to folks. Are folks thinking of the smoke in the lungs? Like, we're trying to go get around certain stuff. Are we thinking about smoke is toxic in the lungs? That's a fact. So, folks are so hooked on the CBD, and now that it's popularized, it's for folks. If it's your responsibility to medicate ourselves all the time, if we have good habits, if we just stop putting substances masquerading as food into the body and get moving. Moving is not just for vanity. It's squishing and squeezing toxins out of the body, as well as pumping the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system, the other watery channel, other than your blood and circulatory system, it doesn't get pumped to move all the waste out of the body unless you're moving. So hopefully this is helpful. I make an effort, number one, to make positive use of the internet. There's so much education to be had on this internet. If we're not leveraging it to educate ourselves, I don't know what to say. That's our responsibility, right? And so last thing I'm going to say is a lot of the population of human beings, chocolate people, all of us human beings have experienced some kind of trauma, right? Collectively as a group, also many of us as individuals. That could have been with parents or However, something may have happened to you, yet and still, your body and your life is your responsibility. And so I make a decision to write a new narrative, because if the narrative that we have is one that disempowers us, well, by the time you get through kicking it, you can find an amen corner for all your habits. You know, people offer you share a cigarette, they'll share alcohol, but who's going to share walking with you on the treadmill, going out and walking consistently before work? Or, you know, let's compare. I've had homies over the years, mothers who were in sick shape. We were all competitors, fitness competitors at one time. Everybody had their little food bag whenever you would see them. So you can find an amen corner for habits that will compromise your health or your motor skills or your brain functioning. But do you have folks around you that support you in terms of becoming more educated, in terms of proactive economics and developing other streams of income and different fun things you want to do with your time? If your body is healthy and free, there's so much play that you can be doing. I like to play. See the trampoline stuff over there? See my other two of you? I like to play. I want to be able to jump double dutch when I'm 100. Yes, I want to play. I like the sunshine on my skin. You can't do that if you're in pain and you got to spend all that money. Medication is expensive. The blueberries are less expensive. I used to be addicted to potato chips, 25 cents potato chips. But if I had to buy 6 bags and then get the big bag of Bon-Tons, they used to be 49 cents. Then they raised the price. I never got full. I had all that flavor on my tongue. But I had a reality moment, even when I was eating the health food store version of it. So now it doesn't occur to me as food. And I get it. I really get it. So on that note, you folks, create a great day on purpose. Get your movement practice in. It's a choice. It doesn't have to be perfect. But if you participate, you can get feedback. You'll get something out of it. You have something that you can tweak. But if you just sit on the sidelines, ruminating, obsessing without doing anything about, you get no results. And we could spend so much time chit-chatting and talking. You could have had a workout done already, even in your own house. So be proactive. If you're one of those folks that's all the time in the church praying, because I had some questions, not knocking that. I used to say, like, why doesn't your minister have you praying and power walking? We have all of these women overweight in the church, you know, sitting to people talk. We don't have time for that, because it takes a while to get your body in shape safely. The consistency, it makes all the difference. So hopefully you folks are inspired. It's a good idea to consume foods comparable to your blood type. I remember reading that book, Foods for Your Blood Type, when it came out. Could be, but I keep it real simple, because you can find a study to justify anything out here. Go where your results are, because it makes us, it's like you got to find a balance between using your discernment and your common sense. So for me, I trust my juicer. I trust my grandma Lou and my great grandma. I had one grandma and 2 great grandmas that were all in their 90s. And so I watch patterns. But you have a lot of times, if you look at some of the authors, they're not in any kind of healthy shape, but they have a paperwork behind them. So if we use our discernment, if you're not moving, would you get more? Do you think you would get more out of doing a daily kind of cardio, strength, flexibility, eating lots of fruits and vegetables consistently? Or if we're just obsessing about blood type? You know, even if you didn't know anything about your blood type, if you're eating, I say the food is going to talk to you. Your body's telling you a story. At least you can have an idea, if you look at your midsection, and if you look at your performance level, how the substances you're eating are affecting your body tempo, right? Are you digesting them properly, right? So I could go on and talk to you about this stuff, but it's actually simpler than we think. But most of us going to have to experience, or may experience, some kind of withdrawal here. And then also psychologically, the emotional triggers that we have when we're stressed, triggered by stress, and then we're eating a lot of times not for nutrition, right? So sometimes we go to blood type and we didn't even deal with water and fruits and vegetables. So in terms of prioritizing, I don't know that's a main priority. We do know that many people, chocolate people, are lactose intolerant. So we have enough basic information to get started doing something that's going to yield so much results that I have found. You have to find your own journey. I'm not here to tell grown folks what to do. That's why I say I take 110% responsibility for my health. Like, you know, I say to my sister, if somebody was to give me a diagnosis today, you know, what would I be doing? Is there anything I would be doing different? So maybe perhaps that's something to think about. If somebody was to give you a diagnosis today, that, not good diagnosis. What is there that you would be doing differently? So I think more focusing on what I can do, what I can do now, simply, and what to leave out. We keep adding more stuff in and more pills and supplements and powders, but we never leave out the substances masquerading as food, if that makes sense. You are welcome, Mabel. So, if you need some coach, some help, hit me up on body-color.com. This is what I'm passionate about, what I've been doing for years. So I'm a coach, fitness trainer. I am a mother. I really am a mother, and I'm a community mom and an auntie too. Let me go get my movement practice on, because I'm not going to be sitting here chatting with y'all, and I'm going to get my sweat on because it makes me feel good. Move because it makes you feel good. Eat for vitality, for longevity. Eat for your mood. Eat in a way that's peaceful. If you allow your values to guide your food choices, it just makes things so much simpler. All right, folks, create a great day on purpose because you said so. Oh, I always forget to say this. Subscribe to the channel. Share the video with someone who may benefit. I never tell people to subscribe to the channel.